You'll hear just a little bit every now and again compared to a lot more noise. It's a way to make your bait a lot more quiet, but the other benefit is you truly do land more of your fish because that can spin. There's like 3.5 or 4 revolutions. Hey everybody, welcome back to the garage. The tip that I want to share today is something that I learned a few years ago, and a lot of guys use it for different applications, and it's really something that I think has a lot of places where it plays. The first thing that I learned it on before I really get into the tip was for using a big bait, you know, like a big swim bait, a big hard swim bait. This is a tip that goes along with treble hooks. You know, anything that's got treble hooks that fish have a lot of leverage to be able to throw. Something, you know, I think of like a really big crankbait, yeah, those big jointed swim baits, stuff like that. And this tip really has a couple benefits to it. A big one is that it allows your hook to swing more freely from the bait, whatever that bait is. It allows that to spin a little bit more. But something that honestly to me means as much in my line of fishing as anything is the fact that it actually makes the bait more quiet. You know, in those big swim baits, they don't get a whole bunch of hook noise from split rings and stuff. But I think it's something like a crankbait and just how pressured our fisheries are anymore. And a crankbait with split rings makes a lot of noise. This is an OG Slim. They don't have a rattle in them. That's by design. I like a very, very quiet bait. But this is a way to take a bait without any built-in rattles and make it just that much more quiet. So, you know, if you take that bait, you hold it still, you shake it, there's no noise. But if you take that bait, just like it would be in the water, and move it around, you get quite a bit of noise. And a lot of that jingle actually comes from those split rings rattling against either the hook hanger in the bait or the actual treble hook itself. So that's where a lot of that noise is coming from. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take the split rings and the treble hooks off of this OG Slim. We're gonna keep the treble hooks. We're gonna do away with these metal split rings and we're gonna replace them with a braided line split ring. So that's what this tip is. So I'm gonna go ahead, take these split rings off and the bait, or take them off of the bait right here. That one's off. And I always use my thumb, my fingernail is how I do that. A lot of guys carry pliers. Andy Montgomery, I don't know if he bites his nails or if he just trims them that much, but he can't do it with his fingernails. I do it with my fingernails. I'm a lot quicker that way because I can't find my pair of pliers very fast. So for me, it's all done with my thumb. So here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna take a piece of braided line. I'm using yellow just to make it just that much easier for you all to see. But I'm gonna take a piece of braided line. That's probably 14, 16 inches, something like that. You wanna double that over. Okay, so you take that doubled end. You're gonna put your hook on that doubled end. And this one going on the belly, you wanna make sure that that hook is gonna lay just like that. Those VMC hybrid trebles are an inline treble hook, so that hook is gonna lay with that one point sticking down, the other two are gonna cradle that bait. That's the way that you want it to go back on there. So I'm gonna make sure that it lays that way. So I've got that treble hook on the braid, and now I'm gonna put that on the bait. Now here's the part where you wanna make sure you pay really close attention, this next step. So I'm gonna get up here up near the tag, but on the loop of the braid right here, this is the part that you really wanna pay attention to. If I can get these two lines to separate. Okay, here we go. So there's my loop, all right? I'm gonna fold that back over itself, okay? So see what I've done there? I've took that loop, I folded it back over top of itself. So now I have a new loop right here. I'm gonna take my two tags and I'm gonna go through this loop. Right through there, just like that. Okay, so now I have this loop that the bait is hanging on as well as my treble hook. This is a place where you wanna have some type of little tool. This is what I keep my boat. It's a really small Allen wrench. I don't know exactly what size, but it's a really, really small diameter. A little drill bit, like a 16th, maybe a 3/32 inch drill bit is about the right size for this as well. But something small, round, you know, or close to round. Like I said, this is an Allen head. Something that you're gonna be able to put in there And then you're gonna cinch it down tight to it, but you gotta be able to slide it out. A little nail, anything smooth that you can slide back out of there. So now that's gonna go in this loop. I'm gonna pull that down to it. Okay, and I'm gonna pull that really, really tight. All right, so that's good and snug. And I'm gonna separate these two lines. I'm gonna continue to pull that really good and tight. And now I'm gonna tie a double overhand. So I'm gonna lay those lines over, go through there once, go through there twice, and now I'm gonna pull that tight. Cinch that really good and do it again. Another double overhand, 1, 2, and again, cinch that up really tight. Okay, so now, before I actually do anything else, my next step, I'm gonna take, and I'm gonna pull that back out, pull my Allen head out. So now I have the size of that split ring that's right there. I'm gonna take my treble hook, and I'm gonna use a pair of pliers. Don't do this with your fingers. That's a good way to slip and get a hook in you. Okay, get a hold of that treble hook, and just pull that with the bait. I mean, just to really seat that knot back in there the other way. So I mean, I'm putting way more pressure on there than a bass ever will. So that's seated on there really good. While you've got a hold of it, it's a good time to go ahead and trim those tags. I'm gonna trim them, I'm gonna leave about that much, is about how much I wanna leave there. It's not gonna hurt anything, that little bit of resistance. So, you know, if you leave, I'm gonna say that's 1/4 of an inch or so of tag on both of those, and you'll be good to go, so. Hold that, Braided. Right there you go. Got that trimmed up, so. Now, I've got that little bit of tag. Once you fish with a little bit, that'll lay down, it'll be out of the way. But now you have yourself a braided line split ring. And that, we've only got one on there. But listen to how much more quiet that is. And that's still with the split ring on the nose. You could, you know, once you tie to that and got tension on it, that's gonna go away a little bit, but way more quiet, way more quiet. I've got one right here that's already done. I could show you just how quiet the whole thing is. Here we go. So that's with 2 of them on there. Oh, that one's actually got a rattle in the bait. That one was a prototype. Let me find a different one. I think I've got, yeah, here we go. Okay, so this is what it sounds like with 2 hooks already tied up like that. You'll hear just a little bit every now and again compared to a lot more noise. You know, a lot more noise out of those 2. So it's a way to make your bait a lot more quiet, but the other benefit is you truly do land more of your fish because that can spin. There's like 3.5 or 4 revolutions, where with a standard split ring you get not even a full one. That causes that fish to just create that much more torque in its mouth to tear those holes in its mouth more and give that fish a much better chance of tearing that bait loose and jumping and throwing it. So a lot of benefits to tying that on. It does take a little bit of time. If you dole those hooks throughout the day, it is going to take a little bit extra time. You know, if you're able to have a couple ready to go for the day to get you through, that's the best case scenario. But yeah, definitely a tip that has paid well for me in certain situations when I know those fish are really finicky. Maybe they've had a lot of pressure, and a crankbait's the way to get them triggered. But man, they're either just hard to catch or you know, hard to get to go to start with. That's a great tip that'll help you get them.